Hello and welcome to Art and Soul's April Challenge. And I'm sorry I'm a little late on doing my video, and it's Shake It Up. So I'm using Encaustic, and I have not used it in a few years. So it's not that I'm using something that I've never used before. It's using something that I haven't used in a long time. So that's a digital art print. On the left is a wooden cradle frame, because you need a rigid substrate for encaustic paint, because if you painted wax on paper, of course it's going to crack. That's my digital print. I just printed it out on my Epson INKJET printer, and that's a composite image. It was a public domain photo of a girl sitting in the water. I added the feather crown. I added the crow sitting on the wood piling with a rose in its mouth. I added the rose petals falling, and I muted the background. The background was much more, had like wood showing, so I muted the background. I wanted a soft effect. So when you print something out, you lose, it becomes a little bit more grayed out, and you lose the whites. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So my frame is 8 by 8 inches, and it came in a 5-pack like this. And it was not too expensive from Amazon. So here it is. I've already glued it to the wooden support and painted the edges, the sides black with acrylic paint. And I did a little of the touch-up already with some white, but I'm going to do some more as a demonstration. And I had used Mod Podge to glue this down, and that was not good. It wrinkled, and I had to keep rubbing it while it was drying so it wouldn't wrinkle. In the future I would use spray adhesive. I think that would work much better. And in fact, I rubbed a line on her face, and I had to touch it up later. So the iPad acts like a light box, and all your whites are going to look whiter, and your color is going to look more vibrant when it's on screen as opposed to when it's printed out. And there's adjustments I made, like I did while I was in the iPad. I did increase the vibrance a little bit just for printing, and I increased the brightness a little bit. But I'm going to go in anyway with some white for some of the whites on the water. And I had stars. I had little speckled stars all around in the background. Even though it's not nighttime, I like to add like specks of speckled little stars as a just kind of like a magical effect. So that's after I've touched it up. And I also add some more cream yellow color into her feather crown. Okay, here's the encaustic setup. That's a little griddle. I think it's even called Little Griddle by Presto. And then I have a little metal tin for melting the wax, and that's from R&F Encaustic Paint Company. They make handmade encaustic paint, and I am just using encaustic medium, which is pure beeswax with Damar resin. And I have a special thermometer for the hot plate to tell me the true accurate temperature, because the controls, the temperature that it tells you for the device, for the hot plate, may not be accurate. I'm pointing to where that temperature would be, and that would not be accurate. So it's more accurate to have a thermometer that sits right on the. It's a special thermometer that can sit on a hot plate or a grill. And you should never heat it over 200 degrees. Then it does become toxic. And if it starts smoking, that is, if the wax starts smoking from being overheated, that is toxic. And you have to use natural bristle brushes, and these do not cost much. I got a 3-pack of Hake brushes for just about $6 on Amazon. It came in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. Because of course synthetic brushes are going to melt, so that's why you need natural bristle brushes. I have used Encaustic in the past. I actually have did it for quite a few years, and now it's been quite a few years now that since I've done it. I did have a problem with keeping the wax melted, but anyway, the first step is brushing it on, and before you brush it on, you need to, with either a heat gun or a heat craft dryer, that like a heat gun craft dryer, which is it does not blow a lot of air. That way it won't blow the wax around, so it just blows out heat and not too much air, so that it will not create problems, blow the wax around. So I heated up the wood beforehand. You have to heat up the wood beforehand just by blowing the heat gun on it, and then you can start brushing on the Encaustic. And the whole thing about the Encaustic is that it gives an atmospheric effect. There's different kinds of Encaustic you can use. So here, when you use Encaustic medium over mixed media work or a photograph, it needs to be. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Okay, so I was having a problem keeping my heat melted, and I have no idea why. It's something I'm going to have to actually probably call R&F Encaustic Company about. They're very friendly customer service, because I've never had this problem before. In the past, when I used it many years ago. See, the wax is not staying melted, and it's really it's a challenge. So I'm finding I'm going back. I don't have the right setup yet, so I'm going back and forth between 2 rooms. One room where I have the heat gun in, and one room where I have the hot plate. So off camera, I can't show you. You have to, after you brush on the Encaustic paint, you have to use the heat gun to fuse it, and you can tell it's fused because it will start melting a little bit because it dries immediately, but when you add the heat gun, it starts melting a little bit, and that tells you it's fusing. So the point is, you can't just brush it on and that be the end of it. I'm sorry I have to do this off camera, but with the craft heat gun, you use it on the Encaustic after you've painted on one layer to kind of melt it just slightly. It only has to have just a little bit of melting for it to fuse, and then you can do a second layer. But in this case, since my image was so muted and soft as it was, I only put on one layer of Encaustic and some Encaustic around the sides. So here's the finished image. It's a little hard to get a good shot of the face there, but you can see that in the corners the Encaustic creates a kind of, you can even have a texture in the corners. And it does have to cure. It kind of does look cloudy right now, but in about a day it does cure and becomes clearer. And here we see around the sides. I like that distressed look. I wanted drips. I was going for the drips, but I thought that looked pretty good too. I didn't want to even, I like the look of not even painting over the whole side, just painting some of it. It gives it a nice distressed look. So to shake it up, I guess it was just using some art material I haven't used in a long time. And especially painting encaustic on my digital print is a little unique for me. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, or subscribe, and I hope that you participate in our April challenge. I know April's half over, and we'll be looking forward. We have a good May challenge already in the works. Have a great day.